There's chickpeas in here too.
There is.
Peas in here too.
There is.
Lentils, chickpeas.
Hi, Laura.
There is lentils, chickpeas.
Hi, Laura.
There is
There, get that turned down. And we'll just see who else is joining us today. Oh, we're crooked.
Okay, we're
There we go. Oh, Liz is here. Hi, Liz. You're new, aren't you? And welcome. Maybe you're not new. Maybe it's the first time we've seen you in chat. No, I don't remember ever seeing you in chat, but that could be me. My memory goes. Laura says it's a beautiful day out there. Dana's on. Dana's on. Hi, Dana. Well, sorry, Liz. I didn't remember. Okay. Sorry about that. Don't take it personally. And we'll just give another couple of seconds here to see who else is going to join us. Cocktails today are a Canadian drink, Caesars. Hi, Laura.
And they're virgin too.
Yes, these ones are virgin. There's no booze in these ones.
Only because we add booze to them and can't tell that there's booze in it.
Then we fall off our stool. Not really, but well, yeah, actually, could be. You can never tell though when it's with a Caesar because you put vodka in them, and you can never.
I know. I personally like them better without the vodka, so that's why we have them without the vodka.
Yeah, and so we're trying a new dip today. This one Walter found the other day. It is called, what's it called? Lentil hummus. It's very curry-ish. It's not bad if you like curry. And it's the yellow curry. Okay, so, and the other stuff is our usual hummus and some of my world famous gross you out cheese dip left over from last week. This thing's got a shelf life of 500,000 years.
Yeah, because there's nothing real in it.
That's true. Hi, Mel.
Laura Nicholson's here.
Yep, I already said hello to Laura. You're behind the
I
game
know.
here. Get caught up. Okay, so let's get into things today. So we'll start with chocolate hummus. Ooh, never heard of it. And Laura made her own. Yeah, well, you've made your own too, haven't you?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you've made it too. It's not that hard. It's chickpeas,
It's
really.
cheaper. So.
Yeah, true. That's for sure. So anyways, just got off the phone from my mother, finding out how she was. Funny, I tried to get her 3 days this week at various times, and she didn't answer the phone, yet today she picks it up on the third ring. I think I'm just going to start calling her on like Sunday afternoons and screw trying to call her during the week because she doesn't seem to bother with the phone during the week. And I got her television problem sorted out. First thing I said to her, is your TV working? She goes, oh yeah. I mean, I sent a note off to the administrator there just to let them know there was a problem. And they're really good. She said, the administrator sent me back a message within 10 minutes. This was on Monday, and she said, yeah, I'll send Craig up. Craig's the handyman or whatever there. I'm not sure what his official title is, but he's Mr. Fix-It. And he sent me 2 hours later, I got a message from email saying, yeah, TV's working fine, no problem. He didn't tell me what the problem had been, but obviously it wasn't anything too major. So I don't think the
Not
wires
likely.
got cut like my mother said, someone said to her.
Well, I don't know. They always live in sort of a fantasy world. Over
Yeah, well, anyways, but that was good. Of course, my mother's attitude towards it when you get things, well, it's working fine now. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, Mom, eternal pessimist.
Mind you,
Where I
your
get it
mother's
from.
your mother's such that if it goes off the channel, she can't figure out how to get back on.
No.
So,
Which is all very ironic because back when my dad was still alive and they were living in their own house and everything, she used to complain that my father couldn't figure out how to set the clock on the VCR, and she could.
Yeah.
And she could set it up to record things back on the days when we used to record things to VHS tapes, right? But now, it's like an effort on the remote control all the time. So, and the phone. So I don't know. And somebody called me up this week. I didn't know at first who it was, and I had to think. And she said her name, and then I realized, oh, this is one of my mother's first cousins, which makes her ancient. And she wanted to know, she was trying to get a hold of my mother. She was trying to call her, and she was getting, the thing, this line is out of service or whatever, or this number is no longer in service. Well, that's because she must have had my mother's old apartment phone number. So I gave her the new one, and there isn't much to talk to about with this lady, because I remember her as a kid, but she's about 4 years older than my mother, but we never had a heck of a lot to do with them. Like, it wasn't like we were, and the ironic part is, they had a house that's only about a few streets over from where we live now. Of course, that was back in the days before this subdivision that we live in was actually built. But it's kind of weird. But anyways, asked her if her cousin had got a hold of her. Oh yeah, she called. And then my mother says, I thought I'd never get her off the phone though. She's a little bit wacko. Okay, well, Mom,
Well,
that's
I
probably
don't know
what they
what
say
your
about-
mother considers wacko.
I don't know. She needs to look in a mirror. She'd probably see what the definition of wacko is. But anyways, so she was fine and nothing else to talk to her about, so such is life.
Feeling a little short here.
Get a little short. Of what? Aunt B's here. Hi, Aunt B. And is it Olivia? Waiting to see what's under your needle or the topic of the day. I think I may binge watch some of your Janome 15,000 videos. Yeah, okay, well, let's talk about the 15,000. What's the update now? Now, if you haven't seen my latest Janome 15,000 saga update, I'm now on part 5. I have the stores machine where I took mine in to get repaired in that, and she decided that she's going to try and get some technician to come up from the States, from head office in the States. Now, when that'll happen, because our borders are still closed, of course. In the meantime, we were swapping machines. She was giving me the store machine, which she claims 3 other people have used that machine over the last couple of years, never had once a problem with it. Okay. Whatever. So I have that machine indefinitely, because I said to her, so since I'm taking your machine and you're trying to get this person to come up from the States, I guess I'm going to have your machine for a while. And she goes, you have it indefinitely. I went, okay. I'm thinking in my mind, maybe what she's saying is, okay, we're swapping her machine out for my machine. And she'll deal with the other. Because this one's actually one that they use in the store more or less as a demo. And as I said, some of the staff do some projects on it and whatnot. Again, for, showing people what to do or, that kind of stuff. And I said, I'm a little paranoid about using your machine, though. What if, I said, I'm really afraid that I go to embroider something and then I have the same problem again. And I said, and what would that say? And she says, well, that would be you. You would be the problem. And she kind of said it in a way like it wasn't a joke. It wasn't nasty or anything, but underlying breath was, all right, if you have a problem with this machine, then it is you. Kind of a deal. And I don't blame her for being probably a little bit ticked off with me because, she wants this problem to be solved and go away as much as I do, too. But on the other hand, she's got to figure it out. So I hadn't done any embroidery. That was on Tuesday. Friday night, she sends me a text message. How's my little girl? She said, working. And when she says little girl, she wasn't referring to me. Okay. She meant the machine. And I says, well, actually, I said, I haven't done anything on it except sew. I was making a quilt this week.
Fidgeting
And
while you're yakking.
you're having fun.
No. I just wanted to split it down in half.
Well, that really worked out well.
No, I know.
Duh.
Duh. Okay, so anyway.
It's hard to bring them up. Anyways.
Oh, well.
Now what are you going to do with it?
I'll eat it.
Oh. Cheese string or what? Cheese celery? Or celery strings? So what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, I lost my train of thought. Oh. So I said to her, well, actually, I said I was working on this quilt. So I was planning on Saturday morning to put it through its paces with embroidery projects. Well, she wanted to know, how it works out and everything. And I said, well, I'll be sure to let you know. In the meantime, we made an appointment to go in on Saturday to the store because she's only doing the store sales now by appointment because we needed some fabric and some other things. And, really, you just needed to get out kind of a deal safely. And so when we were over at the store, I told her, okay, I did a couple of embroidery projects on your machine. It worked fine, no problems. So, knock wood. She was playing with my machine, just setting it up. First thing that happened, which I was glad I was there to witness it. Started doing an embroidery thing on it, and it just made that horrible noise, pulled up the bobbin, bingo! All the problems that I was having with it happened right there and then. And I went, told you. I mean, I couldn't, I was trying to hold back, not going, nah, 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 kind of a thing. It's not me, it's you too. Ah! But I didn't do that. So she's now got.
She was a little bit shell shocked when that happened.
Yeah. Well, I did say to her, I think you may now understand why I'm a little shell shocked with this machine. But anyways, so that's where we stand, and I'm still a little iffy. I'm a little paranoid still. But I did 2 little embroidery projects the other day. Everything worked out fine, knock wood, and we'll just carry on. I guess worst case scenario is this one blows up on me too, but it's not my fault. I'm doing absolutely everything right, according to the manuals and everything else and the sources. So we think we know what may be causing the problem.
Well, actually, I got to thinking about it for some reason last night. And I thought, well, you've had the machine in fixed several times, but the original problem that occurred when you were trying to quilt with it in the hoop, right? The embroidery hoop, right?
Yeah.
And then it sort of got caught on the embroidery arm, and it made that noise. It made bad noise and everything. And then after that, the embroidery arm felt funny. It had too much play in it or something like that, right? So he had taken it in to get looked at, the embroidery arm.
And I told him exactly what had happened.
Yeah, and then they said, oh, well, there was some thread, a couple of pins in there and some thread wrapped around or something like this. And I think they pulled all that out, assuming that was all that was wrong with it.
And then they tested it and it worked.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that there was something more that happened to the embroidery arm than...
Yeah, well, I think so too. Well, then then the next time I went for my timing because we thought that was the problem, and there was a gear in the timing mechanism that he replaced.
Yeah, but nobody ever went back to look at the embroidery
other
arm.
part, the embroidery arm. So
And,
Walter,
I don't think that the embroidery arm is necessarily all that complicated because I think it's guided by the machine to get it to move the arm, right? But if something funny had gone with the mechanism inside that arm...
It could have thrown something else out. Well, I think so. I think that's probably... Because that's where it all started from. I mean, I'd had problems, though, with the machine before then, but not as severe with it. It could be... Who knows? It's a combination of things. She was even saying that this guy that from the States, she had him up there a few years ago because she had another machine that had some major problems. She didn't specify exactly what the problems were because she couldn't actually remember, she said. But it was so severe. This guy came up and it was some computer components in it that were sensors or something that weren't working properly. So they swapped out those sensors. She said that was no big deal for doing that. And this machine supposedly has been working since then, fine, no problems. Whoever owns it has not had any problems at all with it.
Well, the way I'm looking at it, see what happened. I sort of approach it from when I was working. I worked on software, and sometimes software went funny, or the machine went funny, or something like that. And then you would have to go through and try and diagnose what the problem is, right? And so you try one thing, try another thing, type of thing, until you run out of things that you can try, and then you started thinking outside the box as to what could go wrong, type of thing. And sometimes the stupidest little thing that you might think, oh no, that can't possibly be the problem, is actually the problem.
Usually it's the simplest things that give you the
Like,
biggest trouble.
We even had one thing when I was working where it turned out to be a loose cord to the back of the monitor, and everybody kept saying, no, that can't be it, that can't be it, that can't be it. And then when I shoved the cord in, it worked okay.
That was it. So time will tell. But anyways, I was just looking here. Oh, hi, Anita. Anita's here. Yes, Olivia, it does make you crazy. Laura says, the embroidered animals you made are beautiful. Yeah, I was using those as a test on the machine because they have about 20 different color changes, and the embroidery on them is fairly dense. And there's some of the embroidery goes over top of some of the previous embroidery because in its design. And so, when you're doing that kind of thing, that's puts more pressure on the machine. It shouldn't have any problem handling that, though. So that's why I use those as my test. And they work fine. As I said, I had 2 thread breaks, and they were minor. And that is to be expected. You will have thread breaks on your machine. I mean, if you have it all the time, then there is a problem. But the occasional thread break, that's not unusual. So we'll see.
Occasionally it can happen because of, I had one happen. I was doing some embroidery today, and I had one break, but that's because my thread got caught in the path, so it tugged.
Well, sometimes too, there's friction. Like what I was saying, if there's another layer of embroidery going on top of a single layer of embroidery, depending on the stitch that it's doing, like if it's doing a satin stitch or something like that, when it's pushing down through all those layers and comes back up, sometimes your thread, it may hit a weak point in your thread and it shreds it, and that's when you get a break. But a break is nothing. I mean, that's easy. It's when it's pulling up your whole bobbin case and the needle's going through and jamming down into it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So anyways, time will tell. I have thought about buying the 550E, which is the machine Walter has. But I'm holding off on that right now because that's another $2,400 plus tax. And, overkill, maybe a little bit. The one advantage would be that it would free up my $15,000 if I was embroidering something on the 550E. But, I also have other sewing machines. And I think people are watching this continuing saga. Now, as I said, I'm into part 5 of it. And I've had a few people make comments that were talking about buying a 15,000, and now I've kind of put them off buying a 15,000. That was not my intent. The 15,000 is a really good machine. And lots of people have the 15,000 and never had the problems that I have had. I am a power user. I've said that before. You give it to me, I will put it through its paces.
Yeah, that machine never sat idle, and you did so many different things.
Oh yeah.
And I think it all stems from that one time, when you started having problems with it, where your fabric got jammed underneath the embroidery system, or however that happened.
I don't remember that.
No, when you brought it in the first time, remember the needle?
Oh, you mean my quilt?
Yeah.
When the quilt, yeah. Well, I definitely think that caused the problem. There were some problems beforehand with it, though, but they were a lot minor. I mean, I've been through a lot of bobbin cases, not just because of this problem right now. I've gone through them like other times too. So I don't know, but I do think that problem, that was a major problem, and that was user error. Okay. And I told Shirley down at the store all about that and everything. I mean, I'm not hiding anything from anybody, okay, on any of this. And I'm not trying to get something for nothing out of this or anything else. I just want my machine to work. That's all. Whatever it takes, I guess, right now. Hi, Chris. But anyway, so we carry on. So today I put together a Canada quilt. I'm going to show it tomorrow on the vlog. I'm not going to grab it right now because it's sitting down there waiting to be quilted some more because I started quilting it today. Layered it all out. But I really like, there's a line of fabric by Northcott, which is a Canadian manufacturer. And they came out with this Canadian series back during our 150th anniversary of the country. Plus, people use this fabric to make quilts of valor and things like that. And I kind of like the line. It's very Canadian. A lot of maple leaf and moose in it, kind of thing.
Red color.
And red and white and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, I decided to make a quilt. And I had a design. I had a free pattern for some of this, and I started looking at that, and I decided, as I often do with many patterns, is that I wanted to alter it, so I did, and I think it turned out pretty good. So now I'm doing quilting. I'm making it up as I go along. I'm actually doing stitch in the ditch, what they call stitch in the ditch right now, and after I get that done, I may go over it with maybe some wavy lines or something like that. It's walking foot quilting at the moment, not free motion. I do have a quilt though I'm going to do free motion on, or try on parts of it, but not this one. It's one that I call, that was the mistake. It was supposed to be the big star, and it ended up as the big square. And I talked about that in the vlog earlier this week. So anyways, lots of things there to do. So what have you been working on? You started your next shirt class, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got
Show us.
No, I just have not much to show. I have the first two panels, the front panels done.
Oh.
And I put a pocket on.
Yay, pocket.
My first pocket. There's much to see.
Oh, okay, well, fine. So
Actually, my pocket looks good because you can't see it.
why can't you see it?
It sort of blends in with the rest
Oh,
of the
you mean
shirt.
it's the same, like, same material, same color. You're not doing a multicolored shirt?
No, it's my first one of this pattern, so I don't really want to do anything I don't want to do anything too complicated.
The guy that's teaching the class, he just put up on Facebook one of his latest shirts.
He likes stuff that's really wild.
And it's a nice looking shirt, but whoa, where do you pack the batteries for that sucker? Because
Well, it was
it's
his pride
bold.
shirt because he had multi like rainbowy colored material in the middle, and then he had like a green sleeve and a yellow sleeve and a like a purple collar and stuff like that.
He knows what he's doing. They
Yeah, he
look
does.
really good.
Well, he's done a lot of shirts, and actually, the shirts. Well, I think once you just get the real hang of doing that, it's not that bad.
Well, he's had
to
lots
do.
of practice.
Yeah.
I don't know how many shirts he's made now, but
Yeah,
he's made quite a few.
yeah, he has, and he can rattle one off in no time.
Yeah.
So
So
but
what?
I'm still new at it. So, and see, they also with this pattern that we're doing, like I'd maybe do two shirts in a row, but this pattern, I'm not 100% sure how it'll fit in the end, right? So I wanted to make one and then see how it fits and then alter it.
I'm still waiting for mine. Anne says, good evening to you both from the UK. It's 2120 there. Some lovely quilts you've made, Stephen. On the 15,000 machine, can you use the extension table with the embroidery arm? Yes. In fact, you have to use the extension table with the embroidery arm because the extension table is what supports the hoop. Mm-hmm. Because unlike the 550E, where and most embroidery machines where the hoop is sort of attached underneath the throat.
However, you still on the 550E, you still need to use the extension
Yeah, you still need
table
an extension.
because on the largest hoop, which is almost 8 inches by 14 inches. You have to have the extension table to support the hoop. So,
but yes, you need the extension table, and you can use the extension table with it. I was saying this the other day. I don't know if anybody saw my review of two of my other machines, my M100 and my new one, Skyline S7. And I was saying in one part of that video that what really bugs me about Janomi's design for extension tables is you have to take off the part that covers the free arm on your sewing machine in order to use the extension table. But in that part you're taking off the free arm, there is a drawer in that for your accessories, for your feet and things like that, extra bobbins and stuff like that. Well, when you put the extension table on, that's gone. And I said what they should do is either reinvent their extension table so you don't have to take that part off, or at least put a drawer system attached to the extension table somehow. And they do have an extension table I think it's for the M7.
Yeah, so that's a newer machine.
Yeah, it's a newer machine, and it has a big extension table, and it does have a little drawer actually attached to the extension table. It would make more sense because I use the extension table all the time for the stuff I do. I like having it there. It gives you more surface to work on. Your fabric isn't, is better supported in the whole bit, especially when you're doing quilting, because that's kind of important. So why they can't design something like that, I don't get it, how these designers go. I swear that these people who design sewing machines are not necessarily sewers.
Yeah, probably not.
Anita says, Steve, have you seen about the company Blueprint Craft Seat closing and people losing the class they've paid to take online? Yeah, I saw that, but I read a long article about it, and apparently they're not going to lose their classes. Blueprint, from what I read, is trying to figure out a way so that people will be able to download those classes they've already purchased and put them to their own computer. So they won't lose that. And they're also going to prorate. If anybody has a subscription, they're going to prorate, give them a refund on unused portion of it whenever the official date is that Blueprint will be stopped. At least this is in an article that I read. And the article was written from one of the people associated with Blueprint, with the company. So, which is a good thing because, that was one of the things about Blueprint. They, any classes you bought, you had access to them for life, but you couldn't download them. So they are working supposedly on a way that you will be able to download them.
I think she's agreeing with
Yeah.
you
On the machine, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for, I don't really feel sorry for Janome. I'm not bad-mouthing Janome when I'm talking about their machines. I like their machines. Now, mind you, I have never used any other machines with the exception of Brother, and the Brother was a real cheap Brother machine. And that was how I got into sewing to start with, because I bought a cheap old Brother machine at Costco because they were on special and it was like $200 or something.
And you were kind of using it for crafting.
I was using it for crafting. I wasn't using it for quilting. I hadn't even thought of quilting at that point. So I don't know. Okay, Chris, we'll wait for you. We'll sing a song while you're away getting your coffee. Yeah, so I'm not bad-mouthing Janome as far as the quality of their machines. It's just unfortunate that I'm having this problem. If you knew me well, you would know that anything I touch does have a tendency to blow up. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how careful I am with it. If it's going to blow up, it will blow up because I touched it. So it's just the way it is with me. Laura says, I think you got a bit of a lemon, at least as far as the embroidery part is concerned. It sounds like Janome is a good make.
I don't think you got a lemon.
No, I don't know if I got a lemon or not. I mean, it worked fine for the first, I've had it, a couple of years now? For the first year and a half, it was working fine, like I said, and I was doing all kinds of things on it. you know, so I don't know. The only thing that makes me wonder is I have a version 2. At the time that I bought it, they had come out with the version 3. The version 3, they had done some upgrading with it for quilters. So when I bought the version 2, it came with a kit, a conversion kit that brought it up to the version 3, supposedly. Now, and I think there was something in the computer that had already been updated in that to bring it, like an upgrade kind of a thing. Kind of thing that happens to your computer all the time with Windows IDEA. I do notice that on this machine I have from the store, the threading system is slightly different on the top, and I kind of like it better. It's got a little, and I did that in my video the other day, showed that. It's got a little different way of putting the thread through, which I think works better for what I call bounce back. What bounce back is, and that's my term, I don't know what the technical term would be, but when your needle comes down, your thread goes slack. And when the needle comes back up, the thread will bounce up, and sometimes it'll bounce off your take-up lever on that, and that can cause you a problem. And somebody, I think, on here told me about figure 8 threading, and I've tried that, and that doesn't make any difference in the case of my 15,000. But it looks like this little bracket they've done has been designed to cut back on that kind of problem. And his embroidery machine has a very similar system for threading too. So I mentioned that to Shirley, and she says, yeah, because I mentioned about the difference on the 550E for threading it for embroidery as opposed to my machine. And she says, yeah, well, that's because they came out with the 550E after the 15,000. So they, they're learning and developing all the time with these things. So I don't know. But really, I don't think Janome is a bad company at all. I know everybody gets stuck with their brand. I mean, people who have Berdinas will die for them. People who have Pfaff machines, I call them machines. I mean, what kind of letter combination is PF?
Sort of like knife.
Knife? Well, everybody knows.
Pneumonia.
Well, everybody knows it's pneumonia, and everybody knows it's knife, and everybody knows it's psychedelic. It's psychedelic. Yeah. But anyways, everybody swears by their brand, right? So
yeah, people get used to their own brand, and my sister always used to have Janome machines.
Yeah. What's this, Karen? Okay, I'm trying to cut up here. Laura says, have you done embroidery on it since you got it? Oh yeah, I guess you missed that. That was at the very beginning I said that. Yes, I have now. And it's working fine for what I've done, but I haven't done a lot yet. So that's coming.
Catherine Borbeck's?
Yeah.
I just heard the fine print in the, I guess she's talking about the print.
Oh, in the lifetime of the company, not your lifetime. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
However, actually the company, it's not like the company went broke or anything like that.
No.
It's NBC bought it out or something.
Yeah.
And they've decided for some reason, maybe it's not making enough money or what, that they want to get out of that business. So,
I mean, I had a membership to it for a year. It was like about $150, I think, Canadian. And I used it not a lot. I got some good things out of it, though. The courses they ran were pretty good in it and all that kind of stuff. I had no complaints about it. But I can see why it might not be that popular, because everything they were teaching on that, you can do a search on YouTube and you can find instruction on how to do it for nothing, too. So, probably people are thinking that. Why am I going to spend $150 a year for this thing when I can go on YouTube and get what I want for nothing?
I think what you read is that NBC is trying to find a way that people can download their stuff.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They're trying to figure out a way where people can go and collect the classes they've paid for and download them to their own computer system and have them for the future. So,
I mean, that would make sense as if you bought the class like a month ago or something like that.
yeah, well, that's what people are concerned about. Um, I don't know. It sounded like they're not going to leave people high and dry. They're going to try and, honor their contract with people. So I don't know. I don't have to worry because I don't have a subscription and I don't have any classes on there that, that I bought that I need or anything like that. Yeah, actually, that's what I did too, Catherine. I don't think I ever bought a class when it was Blueprint. Mine were all when it was Crafty. Um, Billy says, "Hi, Billy. I love my Genomes. Have used Brother Singer and Genome as my fave." Yeah. Well, I haven't used the other one, so I don't know.
We got nothing to compare to.
No, I have there's a friend of mine who lives in Holland who is on the Quilter's Way, and he's got a variety of machines, and he's got them from different companies. And he says depending on what you're doing, that's the machine he uses it for. Each machine has its strengths and its weaknesses, depending on what you're doing. So I guess you basically, if you have that many different brands of machines, you pick the one that works best for your needs at that moment in time. My machines are all Genome machines, so there's no picking them out. Okay, so anyways, one thing we were talking about the other day, which is going to lead into a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, is that we were saying wish we could travel, wish we could go away, but we can't.
And right now, I don't really want, even if I could travel, I don't think I would run the risk of doing it.
No.
Not for all the aggravation that may happen to try and get somewhere.
Well, they're talking now that there's all these. I saw a couple of YouTube videos about what hotels are doing, and essentially you go to a hotel and they have everything wrapped in plastic. They do deep cleaning of the room supposedly, and things that they used to like amenities are all closed down. Like they don't have their bars opened or things like that, and they have their coffee makers. They're taking in some of the hotel chains. If they had a coffee maker in the room, they're taking them out too. So essentially, actually, that was Psycho Traveler that was talking about that. If you want to see a good travel YouTube, check out Psycho Traveler. She's in the UK. It's kind of her business to do these kind of things. She gets sponsored by different companies, but she does give very good reviews and stuff.
And she did put one up just recently about what future travel might be like and stuff like that. And that it was kind of interesting to hear her viewpoint from that.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel Becker says he likes his Genome 1600p for piecing. Yeah. And Anita, oh, congratulations. Anita, they're celebrating their 29th anniversary. And she says, and we really couldn't really go anywhere. No. And, well, this Psycho Traveler was saying too, okay, so what am I paying for in a hotel room in these days? Are you going to are these places going to expect you to drop $400, $500 enough for a luxury hotel room if it doesn't have any of the amenities for it? I mean, basically, you've been stripped down to what basically a hotel room's for. Sleeping. And I don't know. So right now, no, we have no desire to travel, but it's itchy. The weather's nice out. You want to get out. I mean,
we did have a trip booked to Edmonton this month that we canceled. So
yeah, well, everything's closed down in Edmonton too. I mean, they're slowly opening up out west more, but still, is it worth it? This thing hasn't been conquered yet. Daniel says room service is why you stay at a plush hotel. Yeah, you want those extras. And they said, this Psycho Traveler said you couldn't use the pool because that was closed down. And she said there was no room service or anything like that. And there was no restaurants or anything or open. So actually, that wasn't Psycho Traveler. That was Don's Family Vacations. Yeah. He's out of Ottawa. He decided he'd had enough of looking at the four walls of his house. He was going for a staycation. So he went to a hotel he lives in Ottawa, which was right downtown Ottawa. But he said, basically, he just wanted a different scenery. So he booked 2 nights, and the room was a very nice looking room, but he showed how what they have done for all of this, the new norm. And essentially, I thought, why are you wasting your monies? Walter figured he had points.
That's what I figure. I
Yeah.
figure he had free room.
Because
That was expiring. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. I just guessed. I figured, why would you spend your money to stay in a hotel in your own city
well, he's looking out the window of his hotel, and he had a
if
great.
you're not having an affair?
Yeah, really. Well, he was looking at his hotel window, and he had a great view of a big market in Ottawa. It's called the Byway. No, not
Byward
Byward.
Market.
Yeah, I was thinking that old store we used to have up here, Byward Market, which is a major major entertainment center of
It's a
Ottawa.
tourist area.
Very touristy. It's got, farmers market in it. It's got all kinds of gitchy little shops, all kinds of nice little restaurants and cafes and bars and everything like that. That's where everybody goes when you go to Ottawa. Well, it's not open right now. So I'm thinking, why waste your time and your money just because you wanted a change of scenery? So you move from one location to another location, you're still inside and you can't do anything. I don't know. Kind of crazy. But anyways, I wish we could, but we can't. So, having said that, moving on to the topic, getting closer to it. So there are travel people on YouTube. One of them is this guy I just mentioned, the Psycho Traveler, but there's a bunch of them on there that are basically essentially travel agents. And they're making things sound like we're going to be able, especially cruises. They're all talking about cruises. And that you'll be able to cruise at the end of June or sometime in the summer or 1st of August and all this kind of stuff. And there's all these mixed messages coming out. They're businesses. They're trying to get people to book future cruises now so they get your money now, which keeps them afloat. And that's not right. And so I've got a bone to pick with these travel agent type ones that go on YouTube and are creating content about all this stuff. They're giving people false hope that these things are going to open up. And maybe I'm a pessimist, but I really think there's a danger in giving people an unrealistic expectation of something good going to happen, and it doesn't. That's what puts people into despair. And so that's what today's topic's all about. YouTube creators promoting travel and shopping, and not just YouTube, governments, and even advertising on TV right now as well. All of them seem to be projecting that we're going to go back to normal in a month. And they're encouraging people to get out there. So as soon as they're slowly, in our country, in our province, we are slowly reopening some things, but we still have a state of emergency in the province of Ontario, which was extended until the end of June, which basically essentially says, no, we're not opening anything up that's much beyond the essential services and things. And anything that is opening up, there's going to be a lot of restrictions on them. I get it. Businesses are hurting, but people are stupid. Like, look what they were doing the last few days in the States. And I don't want to get into this topic because this topic is extremely controversial. And I don't want to say anything that's going to get me barred from YouTube about any of it. But we know what I'm talking about. The whole protests that are going on right now with how the police in the States are handling the black population and all the protests. And we have protests up here in this country. In every one of our major cities across Canada this weekend, there were protests. They're out there on the streets. 90% of them are wearing masks. They are trying to do things about social distancing, but it's stupid. It's stupid.
Well, no, it's the topic isn't stupid.
Now, the topic isn't stupid. The protest isn't stupid. The protest is stupid from the point of view at this point in time. Like, how many of these people are asymptomatic and don't know it? The masks do not protect you from it. social distancing when you're protesting, they were trying. The organizers in Toronto were doing things like to try and keep it. But, they're all going down to one central location for a rally. When they get there, it's not easy to keep people 6 feet apart from each other in a situation like that. So what's going to happen? In another 2 weeks or so, are we going to have an increase in our numbers again? There goes flattening the curve. Hello, second wave. So I think people are dumb. And I think they're easily fooled. So now restaurants in Toronto, they're talking about extending patios so that they can keep social distancing, but people can come in and they can, order food, and that'll keep the business afloat and stuff like that. I don't know how that's going to work with it. They opened up garden centers. Well, you went to a garden center. How'd that work?
It was okay.
Yeah, were people...
Yeah, people were staying away from each other most of the time.
I mean, we did go to the quilt shop on Saturday, but you had to make an appointment, and with the exception of a couple of staff people in there, we were pretty much it in there, and we were keeping our distance from the staff in there and everything like that too. So, yeah, I don't know, but there's all this false hope.
The other thing is, like, about the cruise industry, the way I look at it is, like they were talking about, they weren't going to have the buffets open that servers would come and serve you. But the thing I think how it got spread in the cruises in the first place is that some of the staff got sick, and the staff had interactions with the people that are on the cruise, and the people got it and passed it on to some more people.
So there's lots of comments here. Let's just see. I gotta catch up here. Okay, Chris says take some nice drives or day trips. Yeah, well, we've gone for a little drive and that, but day trips.
I mean, fine, we can drive and I can drive out and they push us somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ontario's the same.
Yeah, pretty much we live in the bushes.
Yeah, and I mean, unless you can go to a destination to do something, what's the point?
Yeah, you can't go to a museum, you can't go shopping, you can't explore.
I mean, I suppose
get little shops somewhere.
You could go canoe somewhere, but we're not canoe people. So
yeah, I mean, if you're a real nature lover, then okay.
No, we're not real big into walking through the wilderness.
Like I've always said, roughing it to me is a hotel without room service. Well, apparently I can do that now.
Yeah.
But Anita says, we worked in our yard and we were grilling steak tonight. Yeah, well, we haven't gone out for dinner. Well, you can't. Actually, yesterday we did something we have not done since this whole thing started. We went through the drive-through at McDonald's.
And we never eat McDonald's.
And we never eat McDonald's, but it was kind of nice. Even it was to remember why we don't eat McDonald's. But,
yeah. And then then you get sick. Then you suddenly realize, why do we get it?
Well, you don't need that again for a while. But again, it was something
different
and to do. And so I get it. What some people may be thinking. Chris says, sometimes the change of scenery is all you need to reset your mindset. True enough. Anita suggests we are going to do a few days drives to local things we can walk around outside. And Chris says, there's no way I will be taking a cruise for at least 1 to 2 years. Yeah, I don't know if I ever want to take a cruise again, but...
I mean, I'd have to wait till everything's settled down. And, you get... they had so many problems earlier this year with cruise ships. Like, you get on a cruise ship and then all of a sudden some illness starts going through the ship or something, and then you run into the same problem again. And
well, what this whole thing has revealed is things that are enclosed spaces where there's a lot of people in a small area, like a cruise ship, like a plane. It shows you how quickly a disease can be transmitted in those closed environments.
Especially in the world we live in, how mobile everybody is that goes from one area of the world to the next, to one country to the next. And a disease like this can just spread around, right?
And GT says, everyone is hustling for money. They aren't concerned about your health and well-being. Yeah, and you know something? I get that. If I was especially if I was a small business owner, I don't care about the corporations. I have no concern about them whatsoever because they will ride this storm out. The only concern I have about them is once we get back to when we can actually go into the stores and do what we used to do, if we ever can do that again, the prices are going to be higher for sure. Because as far as those big companies are concerned, they're looking at this. This is undercutting their bottom dollar here. And they project what they want their profits to be, and every year they want them to be greater. Well, this is putting them under that level. So who's going to pay for that? How are they going to make it up? Because that's the way they're going to look at it. The small little businesses, the mom and pops, they're the ones that are hanging on by a thread, if they're hanging on at all. And I really feel sorry for them. So I try to order, and this is where an online presence is important. I try to buy from Canadian companies online, especially ones close to my area. If they've got an online presence, I can order from them online, then I will. Because I want to keep them going. I don't care about Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those at all. Because they will survive.
Actually, they've been all of the big box hardware stores been deemed an essential service, so they're open anyway.
Costco will survive. All those ones will survive. It's the poor little mom and pop ones that are not going to, and they'll never recover from this. So I get that. Chris says, yep, they're doing it because they get paid for their opinion. That's really the opinion of those paying them. Very unrealistic and a reason for them to lose their lucrative income from the companies. Yeah, and speaking of paying, I don't know if you've noticed it or not. I watch and scour a lot of YouTube channels. I'm always looking for new channels and things. One, because I want to review them for my vlog, but also I just want to see what else is out there. Well, I discovered a new YouTube channel, and new to me. Actually, hasn't been there very long. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't like to badmouth other content creators on YouTube because I wouldn't want to be badmouthed either about it. But the one thing I found very curious about this particular site was this individual isn't working right now because of COVID, and I think he's trying to use the YouTube channel to, bring in some money. Okay, I get that. But he was basically not begging, but putting it right out there for people to send him cash. And people were. So, okay, I give him guts for, he's got to survive. But a lot of content creators right now are creating sensational content in order to get their viewers up because they're monetized, to get more money to come in. I guess you have to do what you have to do to survive. It's just that I think it waters down the quality of content to choose from on YouTube, although there's probably more than enough than anybody would ever be able to get through. But I don't know. It just kind of bugs me one way or the other. Bonnie says, Ontario's still not flattening the curve and not sure why they're opening up. Yeah, we're not flattening the curve, and it and Quebec we're the two provinces that have the most. Quebec's got the highest. In fact, they're double over us.
Which is kind of surprising because technically Ontario has a higher population than Quebec.
We have the highest population in Canada, Ontario, but our government sucks. Our provincial government. I mean, there's one thing about the COVID situation. It's really showing where the inadequacies are in with our governments. The only problem is governments don't learn. So, another election, new people, they do the same old thing. So, that's the pessimist in me, I guess.
Well, the other thing about Ontario not flattening the curve, I was out, drove around a bit, and some big box stores like Walmart and that, the parking lots are stuffed full.
Yeah.
People are just going, oh, let's go shopping.
Yeah, because...
And I've seen, whole families getting out of their cars and getting into going to walking down to like I was a Canadian Tire the other week, but then just to go get some gas, and there's like the Canadian Tire parking lot is full, and they're like whole families with grown children getting into a car as if, you know.
Well, this is now the bubble mentality. There's this new term that I see popping up called your bubble. And the idea is that your bubble are the people closest to you, like your family that you live with, and they're your group that you can socialize with, stay in, it's safer. But I've seen people extending their bubbles. And I saw, and again, I'm not going to mention who this person is, but I noticed on a Facebook page they were having people over for dinner and they called it their new bubble. And these aren't people that live with them. They may be good friends. And like, okay, so your mentality might be, all right, well, I know I don't have it. I'm fine. I've been tested. I'm fine. I don't have it. These people have been tested. They're fine. They don't have it. So we can socialize together because we're okay. We're safe. We're in our bubble. Well, no. How do you know that? How do you know that somebody's not asymptomatic? How do you know they haven't come into contact with somebody the day before and a week down the road they have it and then you've been exposed to it too? You don't know. So that's false hope. That idea that you can build your little bubble of social connections out
Well,
and
not
out.
only that, people are saying you shouldn't have contact with more than 5 people or whatever, right? So they'll say, oh, well, then I can have a party and have
Yeah, any 5 over.
any 5 people over type of thing.
And we've seen that both online and in our own subdivision as well. So, you know, that's dumb. Let's see here, just checking. Yeah, Anita says, yes, I'm waiting for huge increases in the virus. Some people are already getting sick. Yeah, there's going to be a second wave. No two ways about it. And Anne says, well, no, Chris says, we still have closed orders in Queensland from other states. We have had no new cases for a while now. We're more and more freedom, getting more and more freedom slowly. You want to know something? Australia, I think, has done one of the best jobs of this. Okay, smaller country in terms of population and all of that. But you know, I've always been impressed by how Australians protect their ecosystem. They don't let anything into that country because they've had bad experiences in history before with it. They, you know, there are restrictions on drugs, there are restrictions on guns and things like that, and coming in from other countries and whatnot. Now, it's easier when you're kind of an island country, but nevertheless, I've always been impressed by how, you know, much control Australia puts into place to protect itself. So yeah, no wonder Australia right now is taking very precautious road on all of this. Our government sounds like they're being precautious, but they're not. Things are slipping in slowly but surely, and then bang. Then we go back to square one again. Yeah, nobody wants to do that. And Chris says we can get out and about, etc., and have craft classes for later June, July for 20 people at a time. Okay, maybe I take back what I just said.
Well, that you got to remember that's Australia.
Yeah, true.
Australia, their cases are really low. It depends on each region.
Yeah.
Right? And Ontario, I don't think that's a good thing.
No, that would be definitely not a good thing for us right now. I mean, they're opening up some of the ones out in like Alberta and Saskatchewan.
The other thing that's different in Australia is like the area that we live in Canada is one of the most populous areas in Canada, right? Whereas Australia, they have a lot, their population is spread out amongst separate big cities everywhere, whereas we have like this whole area that we live in, the GTA, or Greater Toronto Area, is this huge community all the way from here to Niagara Falls type of thing.
Yeah, and what was it? Oh, Anita says amusement parks are opening in Ohio on the 19th. How are they doing that?
Well, they
Is it just
canceled our big amusement event, and I don't know if I don't think the amusement park in Canada in Ontario are allowed to open yet.
no? Actually, they haven't even been running advertisements about it,
No.
and they always do before now. There's big get your season's tickets to Canada's Wonderland, all that stuff. Dana says I refuse to go to McDonald's. Try Dairy Queen.
Yeah, actually, McDonald's isn't really my favorite as far
No.
as fast food. Usually it's like Wendy's or something, but McDonald's was handy on the way back from the sewing store. So
Yeah, it's our story, and we're sticking to it. GD says, so drive-thrus are still operating, but room service isn't available at hotels. Yeah, true.
however, that may also be the individual hotel may not want to employ their entire, depending on how many people they have staying at the hotel, may not want to open their restaurant up for
Yeah.
just room service. Who knows?
I was just, the bubble.
Yeah, I used to get sick traveling as well.
Yeah, Bonnie says, we have restrictions restriction on guns in Canada, but living next to the gun capital of the world makes it difficult. Oh, living next to the world of Trump, it makes our lives extremely difficult in Canada. In fact, that man has had an awful effect on us, as in Canadians, more so, I think,
I
than
told
any
you
president.
we don't need to talk about
I
that.
know, well, I don't care. What are you, my mother?
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You want me to whip you across the face with this celery stick?
We have talked a lot about it.
Yeah, I know, but it's just one asshole after another. Whatever.
Everybody has their own interpretation of what the bubble means.
So, anyways, I was just looking and checking up here, about the restrictions. Yeah, so back to the point that I was trying to make, though, is this idea of false promises and hope. The businesses and the governments out there.
Excuse me.
God.
Excuse me.
Ugh. Jeez, get any on you? Ugh. Ugh. Gross me. The businesses and governments out there and everything are painting this picture that they keep talking about, well, with caution, we will do this. But they're giving people false hope, giving people dates for things. Our government just extended, in our provincial government, it just extended the state of emergency until the end of June. Before, it was to June the 19th or something. And people are bitching, oh, they've extended that now again. So that's
However,
going to
they're
delay
planning
things.
they'll extend it again if they have
Sure
to.
they will. And I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is people get false hope. Because there's, oh yeah, well, as soon as everybody wants a date. Everybody wants a date. We want to know, when's this going to be over? So we can plan for that. But you can't give us a date. But these other ones are making things sound like, yeah, this is all going to be okay. You'll be able to cruise in, July. You're going to be able to go to an amusement park on the 19th. You'll be able to, restaurants will be open for the summer thing with, patio service and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so people get this false hope, and then what does that do to them mentally? When suddenly they go, nope, not doing that, bye-bye. So that's why I even think these protests, I mean, I get the protests. I know what they're protesting. I get that. All right. It's just unfortunate that all of this came at the same time, I guess. It's a breeding ground for the disease with putting that many people together, whether wearing masks or not wearing masks. I don't care. It's still going to happen.
So Anita said, I assuming you're talking about amusement parks, the big ones. Kings Island and Cedar Point filed a lawsuit last week with the Ohio Health Director and governors that they were stopped from opening up in the spring.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, so they don't, all they care about is making money. They don't care about whether people are sick or not. And they probably don't ever care about their employees either.
Well, the other thing too is they're saying, okay, companies that are advertising in this area that are opening up with restrictions, they have these things that, Yes, we've got markings on the sidewalk for, and inside for how close you can stand to anybody, the direction you can walk in, arrows pointing this and that. They've got plexiglass in front of the staff that are checking you out. They have hand sanitizer when you walk in the door and everything like this. And they're wiping down your shopping carts and everything like that. Yeah, that's the first day. Is that going to be every day? Who's going to break the chain on that? When are they going to start becoming more complacent about it? Like, well, okay, we haven't had any problems, and then things get watered down. People stop obeying these recommendations. Well, you said you were in.
Well, I was at Lowe's, garden center, and they had arrows on the ground. Well, I didn't even notice the arrows until halfway through, and then I realized, oh, I'm going the wrong way now.
But you said other people were.
But other people were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They were like going whichever way, because you're used to going whichever way you go, and then you suddenly realize there's these arrows on the floor.
Hi, Alona. Yeah, so I mean, like.
I was just trying to avoid walking into people. So.
Well, that's the thing. And then when we had our masks when we went to the quilt store. And next to the quilt store, there is we call it broken food store. But it's one of those places where, I don't know what you call them, they're kind of a liquidation thing for food and stuff. And actually you can get some good bargains there on some things. So we went in to get a few things, but we had our masks. And we had our masks on, but we were in there. There didn't seem to be anybody checking for how close people were getting, and there was only a couple of other people in the store.
They did sanitize their basket. So
yeah. And but those two other ladies that were in there in store, they weren't wearing masks. They were, we were running away from them, kind of a thing. So, Yeah.
Now one woman in the garden center, she was wearing a mask, and I guess she decided to. She was oblivious to, like, I don't know what planet she was on. She looked like she was out there somewhere, and she was walking. She was getting close to me. I told her to back off, and she looked at me. She did back away, and I said, "She said, you stay your distance."
Well, I think you have to do that. I think we're not used to being, because that seems like a rude thing to say. Excuse me, but move away from me. But I think we have to do that now. I mean, if someone's getting too close, then, if we say, excuse me, but could we be a little bit separate? It's the new etiquette. What I was saying, too, to go back to this idea of promoting this sense of, this false sense of optimism, YouTube. People who create content on YouTube are seen as authority figures, which they shouldn't be, because anybody can have a YouTube channel. Hello, kind of thing. But because it's a form of media, we are so used to seeing like news programs on TV, and because it's on TV, we believe it. Even if we consciously know that we should take it with a grain of salt, subconsciously, there's an unspoken sense of authority in figures that are on the other side of the TV camera. And now that's happening with YouTube. There's people that get on there, they've got some slick graphics, some great background music, and they do it like very professional. They've got all their things edited, the whole bit. And it's very easy to believe that what these people are telling us is the truth. And so you get people that are promoting cruising or destination travel or whatever on there, and say, oh yeah, well, this is what's going to come down the pipes here. This is going to be this way by this date and that date and the other date. People will believe them because people are essentially stupid. They really are. Okay, we can all be sucked in by this. So that's what I mean. This is dangerous.
Especially if it's something you want to do.
Well, even more easy to suck you in, because we would like to see the silver lining. We're willing to have someone say, oh yeah, it's going to be okay. We cling to things like that. And that's where we get hurt. And get let down a lot. And what's people saying? Anita says, I feel you have to educate yourself and choose your best way of protecting yourself. The problem is when you bring in other issues such as political and all that jazz, it really makes a mess of things. Yeah. And in our province, they supposedly were aiming to do 20,000 tests a day. Well, there was only 2 days last week they finally hit that target. Before that, they were always way below. And then the numbers start to go up again. And then it found out, oh, somebody forgot to report in, or somebody thought someone else was going to report this for their unit and didn't, and want this. And it's like, okay, we're playing with statistics. The government is using the numbers for their own purposes. At least in our, right now in
Well, that's
our
what
province.
we believe. So
Well, that's the thing, and I don't trust our government. So, not our provincial government, anyways. We have been, Chris, as we've been told here to wear masks as it prevents normal buildup of your normal immune.
not to wear masks.
Not to wear masks. So, not to wear masks as it prevents normal buildup of your normal immune system when you're unable to get and recover from the average normal illnesses. Interesting.
We've never been told that. We've been told should.
We've
we
been
can
recommended we should wear masks.
as a preventative measure.
But they haven't said, like, okay, we're making this the law now, you have to. But Bonnie says, I never think people who have YouTube channels are experts in anything. Guess I didn't know I was supposed to. Most people are just folks like me, but have the gift of gab and the gift of video. Yeah, but I still think if we see somebody with a YouTube channel, unless they're a complete idiot in the way that they do it, you listen to them. Like, and that's where you have to weigh what you're hearing and decide, how reliable that information is, kind of a thing. Because it's on a screen. It's just, we're trained for that. We've been, all of us have been raised with television and, the evening news.
And commercials.
And commercials, And we can be as very intellectual and smart about it as we want to be and say, well, that doesn't have any influence on me and I make up my own mind. No, you don't. And I used to teach media and I used to teach kids that. And that's what the kids would say to me. Oh, well, I don't believe those in advertising. And I'd say to them, look at what you're wearing. How many of you have got somebody's name on your underwear? What do you mean, sir? Calvin Klein? Where's Calvin? Calvin Klein, are you in the room? Calvin, on this. Yeah. Well, no. But they'd argue with me and go, well, no, we buy it because we like it. We like the look of it. I said, do you really? Who told you look good in that? Where did you get that idea? And they go, well, yeah. I said, exactly. You saw it on TV. The people on TV are good looking. You bought it subconsciously because you thought you could be as good looking and popular as those people because they're wearing the right brand of jeans or they've got someone's name on their underwear. So, and it doesn't matter what age you are, we are still gullible to that on a subconscious level. So it's hard to fight. Bonnie says, guess I'm the minority, not white privileges. I don't know.
Anita said that she was wearing a mask and staying away from people for quite a while to come. Yeah, it can't hurt.
No.
And actually, if anything, it might even keep you from getting the regular flu or something like
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But anyways, I just think right now, anybody who's got is in a position of authority or is in a position where they look like they have some authority, I think they're doing an injustice to paint a rosy future, or at least new future. I think they're doing a disservice to everybody when they make these false promises or suggest that things are going to get better like by the middle of the month or something like that. I think that's an injustice because maybe not you, maybe not I, maybe we're not the gullible ones, but there are gullible ones, okay? There's a lot of gullible people.
Well, not only that, I also think that, okay, if they say that, let's say, this store is opening up or this sector is opening up, then people think that, okay, well, if they're opening up, then it's okay to
That's
do
what
that.
I mean. Because that's in a voice of authority. Because a store wouldn't open up and risk everybody's lives, the lives of their customers, would they? No, they would never do that. I am being facetious and sarcastic.
Like, I mean, the amusement parks will open and people will go to the amusement parks. So,
Yeah, yeah, Anita. You Americans have a lot to look forward to come the fall. Yeah, on so many fronts there. And then he says, it's what they want to hear. Exactly. Exactly. That we all want to hear good things. We all want to think it's going to go back to normal. We all want it to happen very soon. But I don't know. That's why I say I'm a pessimist and go, it's not going to happen soon at all. And yeah, that affects me, just like everybody else. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Chris says, we've had some people recently tested that had bad flus in January and February, and they've come back that they had COVID-19. There are probably heaps of people that had it and don't know.
yeah, I know
But
what
they had it, yeah.
they need to do is test for the antibody or whatever to see if who has had
Well,
it.
they've been developing or supposedly been working on something for that too. But then some people are saying too, well, yeah, if you've had it, then you can't get it again. But we don't know that for
We don't
sure.
know that. And you don't know that. Well, you might get it. You might not get it as severe because you've got antibodies already. But
But we don't know that.
no, I know.
And again, that's false hope. And where's
mean-
that information coming from? I have not heard any of our health authorities in this country, the ones that come on TV all the time to talk about this, not one of them has said that, yes, if you get a case of COVID and you survive it and the whole bit, you are now immune to it. They have said the
Now,
exact opposite.
Why have they not been able to test that theory yet?
I don't know, but now they're trying to get the plasma from those people who have recovered from COVID to try and introduce it in a way of looking for antibodies as a treatment for the very sick people, like basically give them a plasma infusion or whatever it is they call
Yeah,
it.
but the Chinese have been doing that for a while, and so the Canadians have done it for a while as well. I think they did say that it does have some positive effects.
They also said that they thought possibly vitamin D was helpful too. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't know.
Mel said their amusement parks are opening up on this week on Friday. However, Mel, you don't have a whole lot of cases in your area.
Yeah. Like I think more things in Europe have been opening up quicker than here, but then again, we got it later, and of course, right now with the population in the United States, the amount of cases they have there, and
I think
everything.
they're almost up to 2 million.
Jeez. Well, they are a huge country, but so it's like over 330 million people. So yeah, you'd expect the numbers to be greater with that kind of population. But, well, we're not going to get into that because Walter says I can't talk about TRUMP. All right, fine. Yeah, well, anyways, what can we do about it? I guess just stay safe and all that kind of stuff. So let's move away from that. And today, this weekend, would have been Pride weekend for us in the region that we live in. And so they're doing it virtually, sort of. And what I saw of it on Facebook, on this virtual, it was just 3 sad drag queens and 1 sad drag king on there doing some kind of performances from their homes. Lip sync, lip sync, lip sync. So I didn't watch much more of it, so I don't know if it got any better or if it was the same old with it. But, yep, and of course Toronto Pride is at the end of this month. Well, that's been, of course, canceled. And they're talking about doing something virtually as well, but that is one kind of event that really doesn't translate into the virtual world very well. But it also attracts over 1 million people every year, the one in Toronto. So can't do that. No, not a good time for it. My husband and Chris says a few years back got a call from Red Cross asking him to donate plasma for a little boy that had leukemia and had caught a flu they had recently recovered from. Yeah. I don't know if they would take our plasma if we had the antibodies or something, because they won't take our blood because we're gay. And apparently we can't give blood because we're gay. Yeah.
What's the difference what's the significance of a drag queen and being gay?
Well, it depends.
Actually, you can sort of say there are clowns.
Yeah.
It's was I guess a form of no. Actually, if you want to put it a drag queen, if you got there's a big history to it. If a drag queen, that's what guys in New York City used to dress up in, and older times would dress up in ladies' clothes so that they wouldn't be identified as males.
To go into certain bars.
Right? So if anybody picked you up as a male, you could lose your job. You could do everything. So people dressed up in other clothes so that they wouldn't be identified.
But drag, forget the queen part.
Yeah.
Drag is the slang term for men dressing up and imitating women in women's clothes. And that's been around for hundreds of years.
As a form of entertainment.
As a form of entertainment. Drag queens come basically out of the clubs, out of the gay clubs, and they're a form of entertainment. And they range from a guy wearing a dress doing watermelon to a Whitney Houston song to guys who may actually impersonate famous celebrities like Cher or Madonna or something like that. And very good ones actually sing live and use their own voices. So there is a range of levels of talent in the drag queen community.
But they also tended to be in the gay community as a form of entertainment,
Yeah.
right? So, and in the clubs and stuff like that. So it's a big history to that. So that's why it's sort of associated with the gay population.
Yeah. I mean, a good majority, or good number, shouldn't say majority, a good number of drag queens suck. They throw on a dress, they cake on some makeup, and they lip sync to some popular song. It gets old very fast. At least for us it does. Now, there are lots of people in the gay community that absolutely love drag. Want to go to all their shows and whatnot. We're not one of them. Actually, when we were in London, England, we went to a Sunday afternoon drag show in a pub, and it was great because the two performers actually
Using their own voices.
They were comedians. They were very, very witty. It was like a whole package of entertainment. Some drag queens just figure if I put on a dress and put on some lipstick and put on something on a soundtrack, that's all I need and people are going to love me for it. And yeah, some people do love them for it. But female impersonators are not, and sometimes ones who impersonate women are not necessarily gay. Most are, but some aren't. And drag kings are just the females, like lesbians, who dress like men. And some of those can be pretty good, pretty convincing as well.
Yeah.
And then you get into those that are actually might do drag, but they really aren't drag. They are transgendered people who are performing.
And a lot of times what actually ends up happening with them is because they're transgender, sometimes they had difficulty, maybe not so much as now, but had difficulty finding a job because they were transgender.
Yeah.
So they fell into the entertainment portion of the gay community.
And some of them are like really good, but I sometimes think it's cheating because some of them are undergoing alteration surgery. And so basically, essentially, they are the sex they identify with, like physically, in many ways. And I don't know why I did hands like this when I went physically like that. You know, whatever. In fact, we knew one couple. They were a couple. One was a transgendered female.
Like someone that was born in a male body and transitioning to a female body.
And did drag, but she was fantastic as a performer and the whole bit. And her other half was
born a female
and was transitioning to a male.
Yeah.
And hot looking guy, I can tell you that, with it. And they were a couple. But this is where things get a little weird, because they did not identify with being a lesbian or a gay. The one that was the transgendered.
Well, I can't remember exactly how that worked.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff happening. Like, it was starting to have a roadmap to figure out how it worked.
Yeah, you can get into the whole transgender. Maybe that's another topic.
Yeah, that's a topic.
Because that can get very mind bending.
Yeah, like Mel says, drag queen, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Chris says Kinky Boots, and Birdcage. Okay, none of those, although great pieces of entertainment, none of them are very accurate about what what they're trying to portray. Now Priscilla is basically portraying.
Well, if you see the entertainment, if you see the first scene and the last scene, that's more or less what a drag queen is.
Yeah, in Priscilla.
Right? But I mean, the whole stuff in between is that's a part of the entertainment, I guess.
In Kinky Boots, it's more leaning towards the transgender issue in it. And Birdcage.
Well, Birdcage had that thing at the end about, I guess, it's the movie version of it. It's not what real life is. So
no, they're not supposed to be real life. They're pieces of entertainment and the whole bit. And as that, they stand alone for that and do very, very well. But it's really not the real world of all of that. And I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that we understand what the world is of a transgender person, because we're not transgender with it either. But that's a topic, as Walter said. That's a whole another topic about all of that kind of stuff for another day.
Touched on that.
I think we've touched on it before, yeah, and everything. But anyway, so yeah, just quick things here for entertainment. There's a television program or series on Netflix called Snowpiercer, which basically is science fiction. Everybody's on a big train. There was a movie that was made out of this many years ago, and it's a book as well, or a series of books, and it's not bad. So if it's science fiction, they all live on a huge train that keeps navigating the globe because the Earth is basically frozen and no one can live on it, kind of thing. This is the way that they're surviving.
I mean, it's somewhat unbelievable, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. And if you want to see a really weird movie called The Color of Space.
Out of Space.
Color Out of Space. Really strange little science fiction kind of horror movie. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I can't really describe it much more than that. That was Netflix too, wasn't it? Or was it Prime? No, I think it was Netflix.
Yeah, I think so.
If you want a laugh and get an education, just discovered a YouTube channel called, it's a game show called QI. It's done by the BBC, but it's on YouTube. And there's a website or a YouTube channel you can go to that has a lot of the episodes on it. I'm not sure how you say it. It's called Pcromabe. Pcromabe. But if you just look up QI, the letters, QI, and then BBC game show, it's really quite good. It's funny, but it's also very educational. That's the other thing I like about BBC
They have
television.
comedians on there,
Yeah.
so if they sort of start ranting about stuff, that could be kind of funny.
Yeah, now GT says, suggest the movie
Hello, Nairi.
I can't say it. Idiocracy? Idiot.
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy? I can't say it.
Movie Idiocracy.
Anyways, so that sounds okay. We have to look that one up. Is that a Netflix kind of thing? Chris says, love QI. We get it in TV over here. It's fantastic. Yeah. And what Chris said up here, far from accurate, but have the entertainment soften the drag transgender side of things for the general public. Oh, okay, about like Kinky Boots and the other ones. And Nairi's here. Hi, Nairi. But anyways, there's some good stuff on YouTube with that. And another one, we already talked about it another week that we like, Taskmaster, which also comes from the BBC. That's what I like about BBC television. Like, they have game shows, but their game shows are actually entertaining and educational at the same time. They're just not a mindless waste of time, like Family Feud.
Or facts being thrown at you.
Yeah. And we watched one last night too on YouTube that was something history. Another BBC one. But
it was a little bit too intense.
It was a little too intense as far as intellectual property was concerned. It was more like, yeah, this one's an education here. Oh yeah, I've seen that one, Chris, listed on YouTube, and I haven't checked that out. Would you lie to me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to check that one out too. Okay, so I think that's about our time, yeah. So anyways, don't know what we'll talk about next week. Everything always comes back to COVID, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to get off that topic.
I know. Well, what's left? We can't talk about Trump anymore because that's been done to death. Can't talk about COVID anymore because that's been done to death. What's left?
We have to pick a new topic.
Yeah, well, you find one out here in the world that anybody
we'll
can do.
pick one.
Yeah, well, why don't you find it for a change?
I'll look for one.
Well, good. Why don't you? Jeez, I have to do everything myself. Okay. Have a good week.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see everybody next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay
away from people.
Stay away from people, be a hermit, whatever. And see you next week. Bye, y'all.